I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to find out my wife was cheating on me. Honestly, I'd always been pretty trusting, maybe naive. But when I look back now, there were signs I just refused to see. I remember the little things. Her phone always kept close, texts that disappeared before I could read them, the way she'd get a little defensive when I asked about her day. But I chalked it up to paranoia or her just being secretive. It wasn't until that day, the day I saw them together at my family gathering, that everything shattered. It was supposed to be a happy Sunday, a barbecue at my parents' place. I'd been looking forward to it, finally some normalcy. The sun was blazing, the smell of grilled meat thick in the air. My brother Jake was there, cracking jokes and tossing a frisbee with my nephew. My wife Lisa was serving drinks, her smile bright and genuine, or so I thought. But then I saw her. She was leaning into Jake, whispering something. Their heads were close, and I caught the way her hand briefly grazed his arm. The way she was laughing, the sparkle in her eyes, it was so different from the way she'd look at me these days. I froze, clutching my cold beer. My stomach twisted. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but the way they looked at each other, it was like they shared some secret. That's when I saw her slip a folded piece of paper into his hand. My heart hammered in my chest. I stared at the scene like I was watching a movie I couldn't believe. The way her fingers lingered on his arm, then she turned away, walking toward the grill as if nothing had happened. Jake pocketed the paper, looked around, then caught my eye. I pretended to be busy, but my mind was racing. I wanted to run up and grab her, demand an explanation. Instead, I just stood there, feeling like a ghost. When I finally found the courage to approach her, she was laughing with my mother. I tapped her shoulder. "Hey Lisa, can I talk to you for a second?" I asked, my voice honeyed with false politeness. She looked surprised, then nodded, following me aside. "What's up?" I tried to sound calm, but my voice was tight. "Who's Jake been?" "Texting." I saw her slip something into his hand. "I saw the way you two were close." Her eyes widened for a moment, then she smirked. "You're imagining things, you're paranoid, maybe you need to relax." I clenched my fists. "Don't lie to me, I saw you, I saw the way you looked at him, what's going on?" Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "You're overreacting, it's nothing." She walked away, leaving me with a sour taste in my mouth. That was the moment I knew something was wrong. Something was definitely wrong. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying what I saw, trying to understand how I missed the signs. When I finally decided to check her phone, I hesitated before unlocking it. My hands trembled. The messages were there, flirtatious, intimate. It was like someone had thrown a bucket of ice water over me. Every message, every emoji, every secret code, they all pointed to the fact that she'd been lying right in front of me. The worst part, the messages were from Jake, my own brother. The pain was so sharp I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My mind kept spinning. How could she do this? How could she betray me with my brother? It wasn't just about the affair. It was the fact that she'd been so sneaky, so careful to hide it. They thought they could get away with it, and I was the fool who didn't see. I sat on my bed, clutching her phone like it was a weapon. My fists were clenched so tight I thought I'd crush the screen. I knew I needed a plan, but I also knew I wasn't going to let this slide. Not without some kind of retaliation. But how? How do I turn this around? How do I make her feel the loss she's caused me? That's when I realized I couldn't just confront her blindly. I had to be smart. I had to be ruthless. Because if I was going to lose her, if she was going to cheat, lie, and sneak around, then she was going to regret ever crossing me. I didn't want to just end it. I wanted to make her hurt the way she hurt me. And I knew exactly how I was going to do it. I just needed to get everything in place first. The pieces were falling into motion, and I was about to turn the tables on her, no matter what it took. The next morning I woke up with a pounding head and a mind racing faster than I could handle. My stomach was in knots, and my palms still felt slick with sweat from the night before. I'd gone to bed replaying everything. Her smile, the way her fingers touched Jake's, the secret message she'd slid into his hand. I knew I needed to act, but I also knew I couldn't rush into it blindly. I had to have a plan, something precise, something that would hit her where it hurt. First, I went through her phone again, digging deeper. I needed to find proof that this wasn't just a one-time thing. I found more messages, flirtatious, intimate, downright disgusting sometimes. The kind of stuff that made my blood boil. I learned about their secret rendezvous, places they'd meet when I was at work. little things they said to each other that I'd never catch if I wasn't looking. I started to piece together a timeline. It wasn't just a fling. It was something deeper, something that had been going on for months. And Jake, he'd been just as involved. That thought made me want to scream. How long had they been planning this? Did she ever think about what she was doing to me, to our family? While sorting through her messages, I spotted something else. A receipt from a hotel booked under her name but with a note, an emoji, a wink, something that told me they'd been planning something for a while. I took a screenshot, knowing I'd need it later. I also found a few selfies she'd taken with Jake, all of them close, intimate. The kind of pictures that could ruin her if I ever decided to leak them. It was a sick, twisted feeling, like I was watching everything I once believed in crumble right in front of me. I needed to confront her, but I wasn't stupid. I wanted her to know I had all the evidence, so I kept everything saved and organized. I also started thinking about how I'd reveal this to her, not just drop the bomb and walk away, but make her understand that I knew everything. That I'd been watching, waiting. I decided to go to her, not immediately though. I needed to set some boundaries first. I couldn't just storm in and accuse her without any leverage. Instead, I scheduled a quiet dinner under the guise of wanting to talk. I wanted her to think I was giving her a chance to confess. I needed her to slip up, to mess up somehow. That evening, as she arrived home from work, I was sitting on the couch, calm on the outside but boiling inside. She looked tired but smiled as usual. "Hey babe, long day." "Yeah," I said, voice even. "Can we talk?" Her eyes flickered and I saw a flicker of something, nervousness maybe. "Sure, what's on your mind?" I kept my tone measured. "I've been doing some thinking about us, about everything." I leaned forward slightly. "I found some things that don't add up. Messages, receipts, pictures. I know you've been seeing Jake, my brother." Her face went pale. "What, that's a lie?" "No," I cut her off. "It's the truth. I have proof. I've been watching for weeks and I've got everything. You've been lying to me, cheating on me and with my own brother." She looked like she'd been slapped. "You don't understand." "Oh, I understand just fine," I said, voice low and steady. "And I want you to know I'm not going to let this happen anymore, not without consequences." That's when I saw the flicker of fear in her eyes. It was satisfying, but I knew I had to stay cool. I told her I'd be taking action, but I wouldn't ruin her outright yet. I just wanted her to know I was serious, that I had leverage. I told her I'd be moving out, packing her stuff, and giving her a taste of what she'd lost. Because I wasn't just going to walk away from this. She was going to feel the pain of betrayal, the loss of everything she'd taken for granted. The look on her face was priceless, confused, frightened, maybe even regretful. But I knew she wouldn't admit to anything now. Not yet. Not until she saw what I was capable of. I had a plan and it was starting to unfold. As I got up to leave the room, she called after me, voice trembling. "Please don't do anything rash. Let's talk." But I knew my mind was made up. This wasn't about talking anymore. It was about justice. About making her see that, if she thought she could cheat and get away with it, she was dead wrong. And it was only just beginning. The next few days felt like walking on a razor's edge. I kept my cool on the surface, but inside, everything was burning up. Every time I saw her, I could feel the tension crackling in the air. I knew I had to execute my plan, but I also needed to be cautious. I couldn't afford to slip up. The evidence I had was solid, but I also needed to make sure I controlled the timing of everything. While she was at work, I carefully mapped out my next steps. I didn't want to just confront her again or come across as desperate. Instead, I decided to create a scenario that would reveal everything on her own without me having to say a word. I started by planting more subtle clues, leaving her a copy of the receipts, the photos, and the messages in places I knew she'd find them. I made sure my approach was calm, calculated, and above all, unstoppable. One evening, I left her a simple note on our kitchen table. "We need to talk tonight." I knew she'd see it when she got home. I wanted her to think she was in control, that she could come clean or lie her way out of it, but I had already set the stage. When she arrived, she looked wary. Her eyes flicked to the note, then to me. "What's this?" "Just a courtesy," I said, voice steady. "I want to show you something, something you might want to see." I handed her the folder I'd prepared. It had all the evidence, screenshots, receipts, her selfies, everything I'd collected over the past few days. Her hand trembled as she opened it. Her eyes darted over the images, her face paling with each revelation. You went through my stuff." "No," I said, "I just found what you left behind. And I think you should see it all in one place. It's the truth, your truth. And I want to hear it from you. What's really going on?" Her voice was barely above a whisper. I, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me," I snapped. "I saw the messages, the photos. Hotel receipt. You've been sneaking around with Jake, haven't you?" She looked down, tears pooling in her eyes. "It's not what you think, it just happened. We didn't mean for it to go this far." "Oh, really?" I shot back. "It wasn't supposed to go this far. Look at this." I pointed at the receipts. "You booked a hotel with him multiple times. You've been lying right to my face." She finally broke down, her voice trembling. "I was lonely. I didn't mean to hurt you. I swear I didn't want it to get this serious." That was when I saw her crack. Her shoulders sagged and she looked so fragile, so lost. For a moment I felt a flicker of pity. But then I remembered the betrayal, the nights I spent wondering if I was crazy, the way she'd looked at Jake like she wanted to jump into his arms. "I can't do this," I said, voice cold. "You lied, you cheated, and you did it with my brother, so I'm done. I want you out of my house." I reached into my pocket and pulled out a set of keys. "Here are your keys. You can take whatever's yours and leave." She stared at me, stunned. "You're serious?" "I am. I want you to go now and don't try to contact me. I don't want to see your face again until I say so." Her eyes welled with tears and she reached out for me, desperate. "Please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to get so out of hand. Just give me a chance to explain." I stepped back, voice sharp. "No, there's nothing left to say. Just go." She hesitated, then slowly turned and grabbed her purse. Her hands trembled as she poured her belongings into it. I watched her, feeling a strange mixture of rage and relief. I'd finally uncovered her lies and now she was leaving. As she slammed the door behind her, I felt a strange void open inside me. On one hand, I was furious, betrayed by everyone I trusted. On the other, I was relieved it was over. But I knew this wasn't the end. Not by a long shot. The real game was about to begin. I sat down with a cold drink and stared out the window. I had her keys in my hand, her things packed in a box by the door. I'd made her leave, but I also knew I needed to do something more, something permanent. A part of me wanted to disappear her from my life completely, erase the pain she caused. I thought about telling my family, exposing her betrayal to everyone who mattered. But for now, I'd keep quiet. Let her think she got away for a little while. Because I knew her pride wouldn't let her stay silent forever. And when she finally realized the damage she'd done, when she felt the full weight of what she lost, I wanted to be there to see it. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. I'd taken control of the situation, made her see the truth. Now, I just had to wait for her to realize that in betraying me, she'd only sealed her own fate. The days that followed were some of the strangest I'd ever endured. The house felt emptier than ever, and every corner echoed with the silence of her absence. I didn't miss her, not yet anyway. What I felt was more like a dull ache, a strange mixture of satisfaction and anticipation. I'd done what I set out to do, but I knew her pride wouldn't let her stay silent for long. She'd want to come back to explain, to fix things, if she could even face me now. I kept busy, but I also kept my eyes and ears open. I knew she'd try to contact me, even if only to save what little dignity she had left. And sure enough, shortly after she left, I noticed her name popping up on my phone, texts she didn't send but left as drafts, voicemails I never played. I wasn't interested in hearing her lies again. Instead, I focused on setting my next move. One evening, I was sitting on the porch with a cold beer when my phone buzzed. I didn't bother to look at it at first, but then I saw her name. I debated whether I should ignore it or not, but something about the way she texted, "Can we talk?" made my stomach tight. I knew she was desperate, trying to save herself. I didn't reply at first. I wanted her to sweat a little. A few minutes later, she sent a follow-up, "Please, I just want to explain. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I love you. I want us to fix this." Her words were dripping with guilt, but I'd heard enough. I decided to respond just to keep her hanging. "Meet me at the park tomorrow at noon," I texted back. "If you're serious about talking, that's where I'll be." Her response was immediate. "Thank you, I'll be there." That night, I sat alone, feeling a strange satisfaction. The game was on, and I was the one holding the cards now. I'd made her come to me, her pride was wounded and she had no choice but to face what she'd done. I had her cornered and I was ready to see how far she'd go to try and fix this mess. The next day I arrived early at the park, sitting on a bench under a big oak tree. The air was cool, a light breeze rustling the leaves, and my mind was clear, focused. I saw her approaching in the distance, hesitant but determined. Her face was washed out, eyes avoiding mine. She sat down stiffly, crossing her arms. "I'm sorry I kept you waiting," she said, voice trembling. "You look like you've lost weight," I said, keeping my tone even. "You look terrible." She swallowed hard. "I know I messed up. I don't want to lose everything because of it. I want to make things right." I crossed my arms. "You think just saying sorry is enough? You cheated on me with my brother. Do you even realize how much you've hurt me?" Her eyes glistened. "I was stupid. I was lonely. I didn't think." "You didn't think," I interrupted sharply. "That's the problem, your reckless choices. You lied, you betrayed everything we built, and now you're trying to come back, acting like you're the victim." She looked down, silence stretching between us. It was clear she was trying to find the words, but she was also trying to save herself. I had to be careful. I had to make her see that I wasn't just going to forgive her easily. "You know what I've been thinking," I said after a moment. "You've been so quick to say you love me, that you want to fix this. But I don't believe that. Not anymore, because if you truly loved me, you wouldn't have done what you did." Her lip trembled. "I do love you, I swear. I made a mistake. I didn't mean for it to go so far." "Don't," I cut her off. "You don't get to say you love me and then turn around and cheat with my brother. That's not just a mistake, that's a betrayal I'll never forget." She looked like she was about to cry. "Please, just give me a chance. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right." I shook my head. "No, you had your chance, you blew it. And now it's my turn to make you regret it." I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small envelope. "This is what I've been planning." Her eyes widened slightly. "What is it?" "Your key," I said softly. "The one to our house. I want you to take it. I want you to leave this town, leave me, and never come back." She stared at the envelope, stunned. "You're serious?" "Dead serious," I replied. "Here's the thing, you cheated, you betrayed me, and you thought you could get away with it. But I'm not that guy. I'm done letting you hurt me. This is your last chance. Take the key, pack your things, and go. And if I see you again, I'll make sure everyone knows what you did." She hesitated, tears streaming down her face. Then slowly she reached out and took the envelope, clutching it as if it was her lifeline. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll leave, but I'm sorry." "You're sorry now," I said. "But sorry doesn't fix what you broke. Just go." She got up, clutching her purse, and started walking away. I watched her disappear down the path, feeling a strange mix of relief and emptiness. I'd finally made her leave, made her face her actions. Now I had to figure out how to move forward, alone but free. As I turned to walk home, I knew this wasn't just about ending the betrayal. It was about reclaiming myself from the wreckage she left behind. And I'd be damned if I let her take any more from me. The days after she left felt like I was floating in some kind of limbo. The house was quieter than ever, and even the smallest sounds, like the ticking of the clock or the wind rattling the window panes, felt louder and more intrusive. I didn't miss her yet, but I kept thinking about what I'd done, about the finality of that moment when she handed me the key and walked away. I knew I needed to keep moving forward. I couldn't let her drama consume me, but I also refused to stay silent in all this. I started making plans, thinking about what I'd do next. I wasn't interested in revenge just for the sake of revenge, but I wanted her to see what kind of damage her betrayal had caused, and I wanted her to remember it. One thing I knew for sure: I needed to cut her out completely. I blocked her number, deleted her from social media, and made sure she had no way to contact me. I didn't want any surprises, any last-minute manipulations. I was done playing her game. But I also wanted her to understand that her actions had consequences deeper than just breaking up our relationship. I wanted her to feel the weight of what she'd done, to see that betrayal wasn't just a fleeting mistake. It was something that could ruin everything. And I knew exactly how to make her realize that. I started by gathering everything I had: screenshots, messages, the receipts, and I filed a formal complaint with the hotel where she'd met Jake. Not to ruin her, but to make her see that I was serious. The hotel kept records, and I wanted her to understand that I could expose her any time I wanted. that I wasn't just some guy who could be pushed around. Next, I set up a meeting with a lawyer, just to get some advice on how to protect myself legally. I wasn't planning to sue or anything like that, but I wanted to know my rights. I needed to be prepared for her possible retaliation or attempts to manipulate the situation again. Meanwhile, I started cutting ties with family and friends who might have taken her side. It was painful, but I didn't want anyone to think I was the bad guy. I told a few trusted people what happened, just enough to get some support, but I kept a lot to myself. People tend to judge quickly, and I didn't want to give anyone a reason to doubt me. One day, I caught myself thinking about her, about the nights we spent together, the future I'd imagined. It hit me like a punch to the stomach. I realized I'd been holding on to memories that didn't matter anymore, images I'd romanticized, moments I'd thought defined us. All that was gone now. Instead, I focused on the fact that I'd taken control, that I'd finally won back my dignity. But I also knew I couldn't let her off the hook just yet. I needed one last move, a final act of closure, something that would send a clear message. The idea formed in my mind like a lightning bolt. I'd write her a letter, not to beg or to plead, but to lay everything bare, to make her understand she'd lost the best thing she ever had. That night, I sat at my desk, pen in hand, and started pouring out my feelings. I told her about the pain, the anger, the betrayal, but also about how I was moving on. I told her I'd be better off without her, that she'd made her choice, and I'd never forget it. I sealed the letter, folded it carefully, and addressed it to her new address, wherever she was staying now. I left it on the porch that night along with her keys, my final act of saying goodbye. No more contact, no more games, just a simple, decisive step to move forward. As I locked the door behind me and turned away, I felt a strange sense of relief. I'd made sure she knew I was done, that I was reclaiming my life. I was no longer going to be a victim of her lies and secrets. She'd chosen her path, and I'd chosen mine. That's when I finally understood what I needed to do. I had to focus on myself. Rebuild, recover, and find peace again. Because sometimes the best revenge is simply living well without them. And I was ready to do just that. Since I handed her the keys and the letter, I felt a strange weight lift off my shoulders. It's like I finally closed the door on a chapter I never wanted to open, and for the first time in a long while, I can breathe without that gnawing ache in my chest. The house is quieter, calmer. I don't wake up with her scent on the sheets, and I don't have to pretend everything's okay when inside I'm seething. What I do now, I do for myself. I've started hitting the gym more often, pushing my limits, not just to get stronger physically, but to remind myself I'm still here, still capable. I've told a few friends what happened, not to seek sympathy, but to get it out of my system. Their support helped more than I expected, but ultimately I realized I had to do this for me. No one else. I still catch myself thinking about her sometimes, about the way she looked at Jake, the lies she told, the betrayal I thought I'd never recover from. But each thought gets a little easier to push away, because I now know that I'm better off without her, that her choices don't define me. I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. The best part is I don't carry that anger around anymore. It's exhausting to hold on to it. Instead, I channel it into something productive. I've taken up a new hobby, something that keeps my mind busy and my hands moving. Long walks, some woodworking, even a little bit of writing. It's helped me clear my head and regain my sense of control. Looking back, I realized that her betrayal was a wake-up call. It forced me to see my worth, to stop settling for less than I deserved. I won't pretend it was easy, far from it. There were nights I wanted to break down and call her, beg her to come back. But I didn't. I stayed firm. I knew that I couldn't rebuild what was broken unless I first accepted it was over. Now, I understand that sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting back at someone. It's about rising above, reclaiming your life, and proving to yourself that you're stronger than the pain. That's what I've done. I've taken the scars she left and turned them into a foundation for something better. I want anyone reading this to know, if you're going through something similar, don't let it define you. Yes, it hurts. Yes, betrayal cuts deep. But you're not alone, and you have the power to choose how you move forward. It might take time and it might be messy, but eventually you'll find your way. For me, that way was cutting ties, gathering strength, and finally walking away from the chaos. I handed over the keys, I sent the letter, and I closed that chapter with a firm resolve. Now I focus on rebuilding myself piece by piece because I know I'm worth it. And that's the most important lesson I can give. When someone betrays you, you don't have to let it destroy you. Instead, use it as a catalyst to become stronger. Because at the end of the day, your happiness isn't about revenge. It's about choosing yourself and never letting anyone take that away.